Hello YouTube and welcome back to another video. Now in this video I'm going to be going over composition and all of the kind of terms and things that you might need to know about composition, and I'm going to do that by analyzing a scene from my short film, The Doorway. Now first thing I want to do is go over all the key terms that I'll be talking about in this video. First one is the rule of thirds. This is the most basic thing in composition. It applies to literally every shot and is fundamental to understanding a lot of the concepts that I'm going to be talking about. The rule of thirds is just this grid that divides the image into these 9 squares, and it creates these 4 points of interest, and then it creates, you've got these 2 vertical lines and these 2 horizontal lines. Now, I'm not going to spend a ton of time explaining what the rule of thirds is. If you really want to know, there's a lot of videos on it, and it is very easy to find information on it. I will explain how the rule of thirds applies to each of the shots that I analyze, but I don't really want to spend a ton of time just talking about the rule of thirds. High angle and low angle shots. These are also very fundamental in all of composition, and these can apply to literally every shot. A high angle shot is any shot where the camera is above the subject looking down at them, and a low angle shot is any shot where the camera is below the subject looking up at them. Now, the hope/no hope side is one of those terms that I don't see around a lot actually, and it basically refers to which direction a character is looking based on the frame. If they're looking this way, if they're looking towards the right side of the frame, that is considered the hope side, as they're looking forward. If they're looking to the left, or the no hope side of the frame, it's kind of this feeling of hopelessness and there's nothing there. And this is kind of a lesser known idea of composition, but it applies to a lot of scenes, and it applies very much to this scene in particular. And then lastly, there's the 180-degree rule, which essentially, if you're looking at a scene of 2 characters talking from a top-down angle, there's 360 degrees around them. The camera could go anywhere, but the 180-degree rule states that the camera should only stay on one side, one 180-degree part of the 2 characters, which essentially helps to keep continuity and keeps the audience from getting too confused, because if the camera is constantly switching back and forth, it makes things confusing. It's a little bit harder to just explain, but I will show exactly what I mean in this scene, and there's a very good example of how to use the 180 rule and how to break the 180 rule creatively, and how you can use it to enhance your composition. Let's get into it. Enough talk. All right, so the first shot here is a close-up. There's really nothing too crazy about it. It's just showing the audience a thing that they need to see. There's nothing crazy going on with that shot. We then get this shot where there's some movement. There's a dolly in, kind of pushing the audience forward, pushing them towards this point of interest, and this is our first low angle shot. So as we see our character here turn on the lightsaber, there's this slow dolly in, and it's a low angle shot. And all of this kind of conveys this sense of power. How this character is in control, this character is about to take over, they're about to do something, they've got a lot of power behind them, we're looking up at them, the camera's moving in towards them, they're center framed, and all of this reinforces this idea that this character is in control in this scene. We then get this shot of the antagonist of the scene, who is looking at the hero very, very concerned. It's a close-up. The character is kind of looking off at the hero with this like wide-eyed, like, oh my gosh, what is about to happen? And also, this shot is filmed at 18 millimeters, and it's shot very close. This goes back to an idea that I've talked about in a different video. If you want to learn more about that, go click on that video. But I shot it with a close-up with a wide-angle lens, distorting the face, making him look a little weird and a little bit off, and there's this fear that's in him that's kind of building. There's then this shot, which this shot uses another technique, which is called frame within a frame, masking. There's a lot of different terms for it, but essentially what it does is it creates a secondary kind of frame within the main frame. So let's just explain it visually. So we can see the antagonist is back here, and we can see that our hero is in the foreground. We see his leg and then the lightsaber kind of creating this overarching like shape that goes over the antagonist. And what that's doing is kind of conveying this idea that he's coming towards him, he's about to, attack him, he's about to overwhelm him. And by having him framed like this, we again reinforce that idea that the hero is about to kind of take control in this scene. This next shot is a tracking shot as we see the hero walk forward and the antagonist raising the staff to fight back. Now this shot is much more neutral. It's an eye level shot, and an eye level shot, it's just that. It's any shot that's at eye level, and it's a very neutral shot, and it kind of helps to rebalance out the scene and showing that, okay, now the antagonist is starting to fight back. And then we get a low angle shot of the antagonist as he attacks. And then we cut to our hero, who's filmed at eye level. As the attack comes in, he's knocked down, and all of a sudden, now he's being filmed with a high angle shot. And all of a sudden, in a few shots, we've seen that the power dynamic has changed. Obviously, the audience can understand that through the visuals and through kind of what's happening and the actions of the characters. But the composition helps to reinforce that idea and make it all feel more impactful. We then cut to this close-up, which, as you can tell, looks quite different than this close-up. And it's very similar framing, but this second close-up is shot at probably a 35 or a 50 millimeter lens, which kind of helps flatten out the face, make it look more natural than this earlier shot, which was filmed with a much wider angle lens. This shot is a little low, but it's pretty close to eye level, as we see the antagonist fire again. And now we've got an even higher angle shot of our hero as this attack comes in and he falls down even lower. We then cut to kind of a more extreme low angle of the antagonist as he fires once more, and now our hero is on his back, being filmed from a high angle, and the power dynamic has completely shifted. We then get this wide shot where we see in the foreground, taking up a little bit of space, is the hero, but dominating that center of the frame and having that power is the antagonist as he walks forward and towers over the hero. We then get another high angle shot as the hero is blasted with this electricity. We then get a close-up, which is more to show detail. It's at eye level, but the reason that this is at eye level is because it's so just trying to show detail. We've already conveyed to the audience that, yes, this character is already weak and is already struggling. The detail shot is more to show his reaction and to show how he is feeling in this moment. We then cut to another low angle shot of the main antagonist as he's center framed once again, looking down at the hero. And there's a lot of power in him, and there's a lot of, he's in control, he's dominating over the hero right now. We then get this shot, which is about eye level, as the hero takes off the mask and kind of collects himself and gets his strength back. And now it goes from an eye level shot to a low angle shot. And we see, okay, wait a minute, things are changing, the power dynamic has shifted. We then get this shot where the main antagonist is still trying to tower over the main hero as he tries to fire, but the main hero, in the nick of time, blocks the blast and is able to fight off the main antagonist. And then we go from this shot, which is slightly high angle, but then as our hero stands up, we then get this extreme low angle, which really now shows, all right, he's back, he's in power once again. And we get this shot, which is, again, slightly low angle, but pretty close to a eye level shot of the main antagonist as he tries to thwart the hero. And you get an eye level shot here of the hero as he holds off and holds strong. This kind of shows these two shots right here together really show that now these characters are even once again, and they're on that same level. We then get a close-up detail shot of the character pushing forward and trying to push back against the antagonist. And then get a wide shot to kind of, again, reinforce we're back on even terms, we're back level, and then back to a close-up, once again, of the antagonist trying to fire, and then we get another extreme low-angle shot of the hero as he blocks the blast, and that low angle, once again, really reinforcing who's in control here. We then get a center frame shot of the main antagonist as he starts to fire these kind of multicolored blasts, kind of last stand feeling as he walks back and the camera follows him. And what this is doing is putting us more in the shoes of the protagonist, as we know that he's pushing forward, and this feeling of, okay, he's walking back, but the camera's following him, and the camera's kind of pushing him back. And it feels, I wouldn't say claustrophobic, but you get this sense of like he's trying to get away, but he can't. As the camera is following him, he can't back away from the situation. We then get this over-the-shoulder shot, which really, this shot helps to do a lot of stuff. So what we have here is, first off, kind of a high angle shot on the antagonist, but more of an eye level shot on the protagonist because of the depth. Because the protagonist is so much closer and the antagonist is so much farther away, it gives the illusion of a high angle shot. But what it also does is it makes the antagonist very small in this scene. So if we look at this, the protagonist takes up a lot of the frame, almost a third of the frame here, whereas the antagonist is much, much smaller in the frame, which is again just reinforcing that same power dynamic of the protagonist is charging forward. He now has the power, and the antagonist is just doing whatever he can to fight him off. We then get this shot, which is more of a detail shot showing the focus and the control that the protagonist has as he walks forward, as the camera kind of is not really being pushed by him, but it's tracking him, and it's following with his motion as he's the one pushing the scene forward. He's the one pushing the action. And then this is where the 180 rule comes in. So for this entire scene, most of the shots have either been on this side of the characters, as we can see right here, where it's kind of on the right side of their faces, or it's been kind of at a neutral position right here. But we've never been on the right side of the frame, or the actor's left side. So with this shot, as the hero makes his kind of final blow, the camera spins around, follows that blast, and now the entire scene has been flipped. As we see, we get a high angle shot here of the antagonist looking up in fear at the hero, and we get a low angle shot of the hero looking down at the antagonist. But what we notice is now the protagonist is framed on the left looking to the right, the antagonist is framed on the right looking to the left. And this is opposite of what we had before. So what we've done now is, with this shot, we've shown that the power dynamic has completely shifted, and the protagonist has actually won and has, defeated the antagonist. What this also does, when talking about the hope versus no hope side, we can see that now that the hero has won, now that he is, kind of accomplished his mission, he's looking to the right, and he's looking towards that hope side, and the villain, now that he's lost, is looking towards that no hope side. And this is, I think, just a very clear, a very straightforward example of all of the ways that composition plays into the dynamics of a scene and how it really reinforces what's going on. So really what I'm trying to teach here is there's a lot of ways that you can compose your shots, and they have meaning behind it. Where you place the camera is going to have a psychological effect on the audience and how they react and how they feel about a scene, or how they perceive the power dynamic in a scene. Use these ideas, low angle shot, high angle shot, center framing, the 180-degree rule, the hope side, the no hope side. Use all of these as tools to help tell your story and help convey what is going on in your scene. These rules are fundamental to almost every movie. You can see them in in every movie. I don't even say almost. In every movie, you can see these concepts being used, and it's invaluable to learn as a filmmaker. So, with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now.